GIS is a very powerful tool. We can show it very well to people, which is very important in our business and government, being able to show the taxpayers, show the elected officials, on a map or in our system where exactly we're working. It allows us to analyze data very well too, very graphically. We can see where our problem areas are, where we have issues, maybe a certain zone of the county or area of the county, and we can plan a lot of our work using that GIS software.
We've always envisioned GIS as kind of the hub between all 6 divisions within the department. There's a lot of relationships between the departments. You have traffic engineering with their signals and their traffic loops, and you got construction engineering with their resurfacing. It all ties in together. If you resurface a road, there's loops under there. If you have a pothole, it could be a water line break, it could be just a regular old pothole. So there's a lot of relationships. So we view GIS as the hub where everybody could go and see what infrastructure was out there before starting a project, and then that way they could communicate with the other divisions and make sure everything's planned appropriately. You never want to resurface a road and then come in next year and place a culvert under the road and have to rip the road back up. So we've tried to use it as a good planning tool. It's also a great tracking tool. We track all the work that's done against the assets, making sure they're maintained to the proper levels each year. The GIS for mosquito control, citizen requests come in for service. They have a lot of mosquitoes, and those go into our work order system, and those we plot out on a map. You can view the clusters of where the calls are coming from.
Initially, we had a big wall map, and we would just use different colored push pins for whoever happened to call in. The calls were logged on a sheet, and we would go, just be able to look at those, look at the wall map, look at the pins. When the GBA Lucity program came into being, the calls came in and they were directly loaded into the system, and you were able to see via the web map exactly where the calls came in. Target problem areas that way. You could see groups of them, you could see the calls as they came in. The public is now able to submit web requests via the internet and have them go directly into our system without having to call us on the phone and having to get their information. So after hours, or if they just don't want to call and they just want to use the web, that's open to them.
Mosquito control does the east half of the county and the unincorporated part on the west side of the county, but the cities on the west side actually contract for service. So depending on where you live within the county, you have differing levels of service. The web map helps you determine what level of service and who I should make my request through. We've actually been able to leverage our GIS data into that system, and it just helps us track the money that's been spent on those assets visiting those sites. It also gives us a frequency. I know this site continues to breed time after time after time, so we've been trying to do more frequency analysis. How many times has this site been a problem for us? And do we need to be looking at something different to have a better solution or a permanent solution?
We didn't know really when we sprayed an area. It was a standard area that we'd sprayed the same area for years and years and years. And one of the reasons we wanted to do is become more surgical, to spray the area where we really had the problem. That's to reduce pesticide use. Pesticides are very expensive. There's some environmental issues. We wanted to reduce exposure to the public. We wanted to become very efficient, both on the money side and the environmental side for taking care of the problem with the smallest amount of impacts.
Before we even get into the field, we have a really good picture of the problem that's out there. And in the case of mosquitoes, it's often complaint-driven. We also have landing counts in various areas. We have sentinel chickens that are out in various areas that give us an idea of what type of mosquitoes or what kind of diseases that we're up against, which could be an indicator of the type of mosquito. So you lay that all out on a map, and it kind of gives us a picture of where we might want to concentrate our efforts. We use fish. We use other things to eat the eggs in the area where mosquitoes are to keep them down. We might identify a retention pond that we could go ahead and put fish in that area, because we've had a lot of complaints and a lot of things that's on our map. So again, by having all those assets, in a picture we can look at, it just allows us to have a multifaceted attack.
The helicopter and mosquito control is used in Volusia County for surveillance. We were founded 75 years ago because of the problem initiated by salt marsh mosquito production. Mosquitoes come off of the salt marsh across Volusia County in the millions, and that impacts our constituents typically 2 times during the course of the month, generally in conjunction with a lunar schedule, full moons, new moons. So what we need to do is deploy that helicopter and look at the sites that across time, across 75 years, we've found. And what we've done is to map those situations using an ESRI-based platform. We do incorporate the data into the Lucity maintenance management system. That helps us move our helicopter around, move it around in conjunction with lunar schedules, tidal schedules, and survey 75,000 or so acres of salt marsh around Volusia County efficiently, rapidly.
We have a very well-funded mosquito control program. We've never had people stand up in front of the politicians and say they're wasting our money and they're, you know, from an environmental standpoint or any other. It's a well-run, we respond to the public. I think we developed that public trust and we've kept it. And I've been part of that for over 30 years, and it's neat. And you don't see it everywhere. There's some places that they don't trust government to perform services like that, or they don't like how they do it, or you know, and their input isn't in the system. And I'm sure we don't make everybody happy, but we get the vast majority of them, and people appreciate the service. And at tax time, they don't complain about, you know, the 10, 15 bucks they spend for mosquito control in this community, and that's pretty neat.
With this integration of an ESRI map-based and Lucity maintenance management system really is unique and really does help us here with our mosquito surveillance and control. We work in integrated pest management. The services and the platforms that are integrated with ESRI and Lucity helps us facilitate our responses to and our proactive nature here in Volusia County with contending with service requests, surveillance, and our control applications.